In this Writer's Access video, I'll be showing you how to place an order. There are going to be a couple of videos about placing orders in Writer's Access because there's a bunch of different things that you can do in the orders section, and I don't want to make this video too long. So, to place an order, you go to Place Orders, Content Order, and again, I'm in the Test Child account so that you can see what it'll look like from the perspective of a child account. So this is the order form. It's quite long, so we'll go over all of it. So the first thing you need to do is pick your asset type. Generally, this is going to be a blog post or an ebook, which is just called book in Writer's Access, or you could classify it as a white paper. So blog post, you pick your industry. Do your best to pick one of the actual industries. They have a lot here, but if you don't see one, you can pick other. And you do have to pick an expertise or an industry to be able to advance the order. Expertise, you can pick, I generally pick copywriter for my expertise. And then field layout. So this is one of the settings that we turned on in the first video about setting up Writer's Access. And so generally for a regular blog post, you can just leave it at the default or blog post setting. So I just generally leave it at default because that's going to give you title and the body of the blog post. In another video, we'll talk about how to set up a blog series. But for this one, we're just going to leave it at default. So you can update your quantity for this video. We'll just be doing one order. I will show you bulk uploads and multiple orders in a different video. Then you'll set your word count. For shorter blogs, we do a minimum of 500 words, so between 500 and 600 words. For the longer blogs, we want to do those at least 750 words up to about 1,000 words. Then you'll pick your writer level. Generally, you're going to want to use 5 or 6-star writers, and again, this is going to depend on the client. If it's a really high level client that wants really, really good writing, I would recommend always picking a 6-star writer. If you think they could have a little bit lower quality, they don't care quite as much about the quality of their content, they just want content, I would recommend using 4 or 5-star writers. So for this one, we'll pick 6-star writers. You can increase the cost per word. I would not recommend doing this, just leave it at 10 cents. You can also add additional per order. You're not going to do this unless you get permission to add to an order. That would happen in the cases where we need a lot of research, or if it's an extremely technical client that we feel merits additional bonus for the level of writing that we'll want to expect. Here you'll get some breakdown about the cost of the order. So the total cost of this order is going to be $60. The writer is going to get paid $42. So I think Writer's Access keeps like a 70-30 split. So the writer gets 70% of the order, and Writer's Access gets like 30% as a facilitator's fee. So we already went over how to pick your writers in another video, but I'm going to go over it again here. For 6-star writers, you can't actually pick crowd, so that one's kind of moot, and I don't like to use the crowd anyway. It just puts it out to the entire list of, in the case if we were to pick 5-star writers, it would put it out to the entire list of 5-star writers. And then it's first come, first serve from that. So whoever picks it up first is the person who will be writing it. So there's not a whole lot of control. You can't vet the writers and make sure that they're going to be good before they fulfill the order. So I don't generally recommend using the crowd. Love list. Since this is the child account, we don't have anyone on the love list for this quite yet. So if that is the case, we haven't gotten too far into creating the order yet, so I'm going to show you how to add in teams and love lists from the overall Writers Access account. So you'll come here to Find Writers, you'll go to Enterprise Love List. Say leave this page, we can come back and reset everything later. So this, you can ignore this, but this is going to show you the writing teams that have been established for all of the other Writers Access accounts. So the main account, any other child accounts, etc. So if you get a client that's already established and you need to find their writing team, you can come in here and find the correct writing team, and then so once you find them, so let's say we'll do Steel City. So I found Steel City's writing team, so I'm going to just say copy this team, and it's going to copy it to this child account. And so now when I go back in to place orders, and unfortunately we're going to have to start over because we got out of the order. So we'll put it at 500 to 600 words. Pick 6-star writers. And then we'll go to love list. So you'll see all of the people who were on that team that we selected have now been added to this child accounts love list. We can also see that that one team has been added to this account. So when you do go to order, you'll probably want to find all of your clients first from the Enterprise Love List section, add them to your child account, and then you won't have that problem when you place an order. So the other thing we could do, and we talked about this specifically in the casting calls video, is to do a casting call when you're making an order. So you title the casting call, and then what happens is writers have to apply back to you with their interest in the order, a little bit of information about their expertise. Then you can go through and vet those writers. You can review the message that they sent you, you can review their profiles, you can communicate with them and ask them for writing samples before you select any of the writers that you want to send the orders to. So after you've created a casting call, then you would create the project description. So since we're only ordering one blog, you would give a brief summary of the points that you want to talk about in the blog that you're ordering. You also have several other options here. You can include any SEO instructions. So if you want to include any specific keywords anywhere in the headings or just in the body. If you want to include any files that we've already uploaded, you can upload your own file. So if the client has a branding guide or a writing guide or anything, or if you want to attach a resource for a blog, you can do that here. If you want to record your instructions vocally to give to the writer, you can do that here. Attribution request will let the writer know that we want to publish this piece under their name, so don't pick this, like, ever. Next, you'll want to insert the creative brief. Now, if you have already created a creative brief, which you should have done, you can there will be another button here that will say use saved creative brief instead of use saved rule set like this. So it'll look like this and say use saved creative brief. And so then you can just click that. If you haven't already created a creative brief, you'll have to create one in here by clicking all these buttons. I'm just going to save one really quick. So that my use saved creative brief will show up. Now the same thing for that happened with the teams, where you can access all of the writing teams for the entire Writers Access account from various people's child accounts, you can do that with creative briefs as well. So if you say use saved creative brief, you can grab a creative brief from any of the other child or parent accounts that have been established in Writer's Access. So there's a lot. So once you find the one you like, let's grab SAT Energy because that's the writing team that I grabbed. And they should be in alphabetical-ish order. So just say use brief and it's going to insert all of the information that's saved in that creative brief for that particular writer. So now that you have that creative brief in here, if you say save creative brief, it'll save it to your account as well. But since you can access all of the child account creative briefs, that's kind of up to you. So once the creative brief is in here, you want to add your rule set. So we did that saved rule set. So again, you can pick from any of the parent accounts, or you can save one of the rule sets from one of the other accounts to your own account. So we'll pick the long form ones. Okay, topic pitch. I'm going to go over in another article or in another video because this is quite a long process, but we'll come back to that one. So this is where you'll add the order title. So I would recommend just making this the title of your actual blog. There's a bunch of things that you can add here. If you want to add some special instructions about voice or any special resources, you can add those here. If you have required keywords, you definitely want to add those here. If you want to attach any files to that particular order, you can do that as well. Or you can upload files, same as above. Now show after date is a little bit more complicated. If you are doing multiple orders, actually I'll just show you that in another video when I show how to do multiple blog orders, since we're focusing on a single order right now. So you would add in your order title, any special instructions, any required keywords, and then you need to set your timeline. So generally I do 1 or 2 days to pick up. So this is how quickly the writer needs to claim the article and say they want to write it. Writer working time is going to depend on how long of an article you've requested. Generally, I give about 2 days for a blog. For a blog series or an ebook, I give about 6 days. But use your best judgment. Client approval time, always leave this at 14 days. So that you have time to send any articles back for revisions if you need to. And then writer revision time, I usually leave this around 2 days, depending on how long the article is. Proofreading. Now, it's your choice if you want to add proofreading or not. It just checks for, they have someone go through and check it for spelling and for grammar. It does add an additional cost, so do be aware of that. So this is your choice if you want to add proofreading or not. It's up to you. Then you can place an order. You can place the order and save the order template, so that if you're going to make another really similar order, you can just use the same template. This is kind of up to you. I don't generally save my order templates because I like to go through everything and make sure that I'm not missing anything or just glossing over anything that I need to check on. But if you want to do order templates, that's totally fine. You just have to name it, and then once you're done, you click place your order. And so that is how you do a single order in Writer's Access. In the next video, I'll show you how to order multiple items at once.